Hi, this is Gina Coleman from Misty Blues, and you're listening to Danny Coleman's Rock On radio show. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the music. It's just so good.
The pace of life, the commonality of faith, and the fact we're all bat crap crazy, which makes for good media. So you roll all that together and you get the Mississippi Delta. And William Faulkner had said that to understand the world, you first have to understand a place like Mississippi. And if you can understand this section of Mississippi that I'll define geographically and culturally later, then you can understand anything. So I'll begin my tours with there are no metaphysical certitudes in the Mississippi Delta. Everything is subjective, including time, and if you apply logic, you're behind the curve to begin with. So once that makes sense, everything makes sense, which means absolutely nothing makes sense here.
Right.
Well, Chili Billy. What a great tour that was. Was that not?
Amazing. It was.
And this show is full, stock full of things from Mississippi.
Yep.
We had to flip-flop our guest, Alexander Simone. He will be here next week. He had an unexpected death in the family, so he had to reschedule, and he will be in next week. So tonight we're going to bring you the Visit Clarksdale show.
Yeah.
Where we highlight, Claire and I did a lot of work when we were in Clarksdale.
That's right.
With the Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation. Many thanks again to Christine Zemla and her husband Scott, the blind squirrel. And we went with the New Earths and Joe and Tamina and
Tom
Baldino, the president of the Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation.
Yep.
We had a great time.
We did.
We saw a lot of great things. There was a lot of history.
Definitely.
It was just amazing. And tonight I'm going to take you, or we, not me, you and I.
You can take them.
We're going to take our listeners on a tour of Clarksdale through interviews I did with the head of Clarksdale Tourism, Visit Clarksdale, Bubba O'Keefe.
Yay.
Who was also running for mayor of the city.
Right.
Which is funny because when I interviewed Kingfish Ingram a while back, and he said he's from Clarksdale, I said, well, you got to know Bubba. Oh, everybody knows Bubba, you know. So we have Bubba. We have an interview with Roger Stoley from Cadhead, which is a
very unique little
folk art collectible blues music store. We have an interview with Eric Meyer, one of the partners in the Ground Zero Blues Club.
Right.
The other two being Henry Stovall and Morgan Freeman.
That's right.
So
Morgan Freeman.
Yes, we have an interview with Eric, who was kind enough to call me from Oregon, where he was. He has a Jersey connection, and you'll hear that in the interview. And we also have an interview with Deke. Deke is a harmonica player who has a harmonica shop called Deke's Mississippi Saxophone. And you'll find out why.
In true Mississippi fashion.
In the interview. We've got music from Anthony Big A. Sherrod, who apparently...
Yay, is coming up to New Jersey again. So we're going to tease that. Stay tuned the end of June. We're hoping that will save the date. I think they're saying June 27th right now. It's still a little fluid, but we do have that as a down in Monmouth University's theater.
Right.
What theater? What's the name of the theater there? Again?
Pollock.
Pollock. It is a Pollock. Okay, I thought it was.
And Pollock Theater, Monmouth University. And you'll hear in one of the interviews, I think with Roger, I talk about he borrowed Wayne Kessler's
amp.
Fender twin reverb amp. This man had no effects pedals. A Fender, all he had was a Fender Stratocaster,
wirelessly,
and a volume knob.
Yeah,
and he got sounds out of this guitar. And we saw him. I mean, the man is just an incredible performer. I was listening through a lot of the recordings, the audio recordings that we did at the juke joints and the hostel, and And it's good stuff.
It is.
It really is. And I hope that comes through in this show. Now, once again, we also have some music from Kingfish Ingram.
Nice.
And we have some music from Deke. And we have some music from Mississippi Fred McDowell. My man, Mississippi Fred. And so this show, I really was getting excited putting it together.
Nice.
It's just a shame, Mike, that we don't have
so
enough
much,
time because there's so much more I could put in
Slim,
here.
We
still have
we
Watermelon
talked with him.
Slim, right? So,
that was a great
unfortunately, he did not make this. He's mentioned, but he did not make this interview.
Right.
That's for maybe another show on another station. Maybe my blues show on
Nice.
WWFM will be able to handle that one a little bit.
Good.
But for now, tonight, we are going to take you on our trip through Clarksdale. And because of that, and the people we have to thank for that are the Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation.
Yes, definitely.
Go to jsjbf.org to find out what they are up to.
That's right.
And to find out what's happening. You also can see my blog that I wrote
Oh, yeah.
about Clarksdale, which gave detailed day by day of our journey through Clarksdale.
It was a very good compilation of it.
And hopefully, for those of you listening, this will tie it all in together. We also, tonight we're not there. We are in the library once again.
That's right.
Normally we broadcast from our good friends, the 2-track studios of Deco Entertainment.
Right.
So we'll be back there next week with Alexander Simone.
Good.
And we also want to recognize Phoenix Art Supply and Framing, located on Route 611, otherwise known as Southeastern Road in Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
That's right. Speaking of Doylestown.
Lillipie's of Princeton, located at 301 North Harrison Street, inside the Princeton Shopping Center. Love their sourdough and baked goods at Lillipie's. O'Connor's American Bar and Grill of East Hampton, Mount Holly, New Jersey, the official caterers of Rock On Radio, and New Jersey Stage, newjerseystage.com. And what else do we have there, Producer Claire?
Well, we were talking about Doylestown. The Music Fest is on June 1st through the 8th, so we don't want to miss them.
And we will be emceeing the main stage on June 7th.
That's right.
The Rock the Block party.
So that'll be fun. Tyndall Road Brewery. It's also
Yes, we have our
in
partnership
Bordentown.
with Tyndall Road Brewing, 102 Farnsworth Avenue in Bordentown. I haven't gotten, because it's Lent, I got 2 weeks left to wait. I can go there and sample the beers and give you my pick going forward.
Nice. Okay.
So I'm not going to waste any more time
Good.
opining, or what's the other word I'm looking for that we used to use? I don't know. But the first interview we're going to kick off is with Bubba. Bubba O'Keefe, born in Clarksdale, moved away for a couple of years, came back to Clarksdale. As a child, his Mississippi Fred McDowell used to work at one of his father's gas stations.
Oh.
I'll just let Bubba tell you all about it. And then we'll be back
For more stories.
for more stories. Okay, with me, I am fortunate enough to be coming to you from Clarksdale, Mississippi. And I am here with none other than the man who is, are you in charge of Visit Clarksdale?
That's what they
Tourism?
tell me. I'm the executive director here. I am.
Mr. Bubba O'Keefe. Bubba, thank you so much for sitting down with us, man.
Oh, thank y'all for coming to Clarksdale. We're glad to have y'all again. And I know this is your first trip here.
This is my first trip to
But,
Clarksdale, and I hope it'll be one of many.
Yeah.
I've been here for not even 24 hours, and I've had a blast.
Great. That's our intention.
Yeah, I got to hang out with Watermelon Slim last night,
Yeah.
and I'm a big blues music fan, so I think it's great. So tell me about Bubba O'Keefe. Were you born in Clarksdale? Were you around the area? What's the...
I was born in Clarksdale. 1957.
There you go.
Boomer. And I've lived here all my life with about 5 years. My wife, we had just been married a year. We decided to move to Jackson to try to, branch out and maybe seek our fame and fortune. I was in the construction business and did good down there. Started a family there, but just felt the calling of the Delta. The Delta is a unique place. It's got a mystique about it, as I'm sure you've noticed already. And our parents were aging, and so why are we 3 hours away raising a family when, to us, life was more important and precious to be closer to our family at such an early stage of raising our own family. So we came back, and I just love Clarksdale, Mississippi.
And and you are the director of the tourism bureau here. How did that come about?
Oh, that was a long journey. It started as far back as 1999 that I just thought, well, if we moved back here and the place was dark, there were no cars downtown. When I say dark, at night, the downtown business district was just kaput. And because of being in the construction business and coming back home, I decided to start one building at a time to have an impact on Clarksdale. And because we had 4 daughters, my wife started a children's shop with some friends and a clothing store. And so just, started downtown with a retail store, and I started buying a building and renovating and buying another one and renovating it. So, that went on till about 6-7 years ago. My last project was the Travelers Hotel where you're staying. I was an original partner and contractor in that project, and we had done, I don't know how many buildings I'd done downtown with different partners. And, again, if I was going to live in town, I wanted to be able to, feel good about downtown and have a place to eat. There were no restaurants. There were no cars downtown. Even during Christmas week, it was just abandoned. And I believe that the heartbeat of the community is the downtown. I think it's the soul, it's the pulse of every community. And, 25 years later, well, as soon as I finished the Travelers Hotel, this job became available, and I told my partners, either I can stay here and run this hotel as we agreed, or I can go to the tourism. But if I go to tourism, we can raise the whole town up. If I just stay here at the Travelers, we can make it work, but we need the whole town to work. And so they saw that opportunity. And then, I forgot what year it was, 2000, 2001, 2, or whatever. Roger Stoley at Cathead, he and I co-founded the Blues Festival, Juke Joint Festival. And so after 3 years, I got out of that to do something else, and Nan Hughes came in, took over, and she's still running it today with Roger. And it's our biggest festival of the year. We have over 20 festivals a year. They might be small festivals, but they're very unique and very intimate. And we have live blues music 7 nights a week, all year long. And so here we are today. I got a paying gig or steady salary, and I love my job.
Well, how now Clarksdale, of course, widely considered the birthplace of blues music itself. But how important is, and I can see the physical evidence of every juke joint and restaurant and venue that we've passed by. Some of them you don't even notice. Mm-hmm. We were coming in, and I was with Christine and her husband Scott, and on the trip in, and there's the Bad Apple. I'm like, where? Oh, okay. They're kind of like
run down.
Well, that's not what I was looking for, but they're kind of like hidden. Like if you're not looking for it, you're not going to see it because they're so much a part of the rest of the landscape.
Right.
They don't. It's not. Look, where we're from in the Northeast, if you go to a club, there's neon signs, there's big signs. This is where you want to be. But they're just like regular businesses that are kind of tucked in between all the other businesses. So how important is blues music to Clarksdale now?
Oh, it's huge. It's
Is that what drives most of the tourism, or?
what's that? The music and the clubs? Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the thing is that the way I promote Clarksdale is that we are edgy and gritty. We're not cute and quaint like other towns around us, and that's not our makeup. That's not our personality. And there are things that we want to improve, but that is not us. We're not cute and quaint, and that's the reason we have the blues. That's why people know us, and we don't need a makeover. We are who we are, and people come here because of who we are. The things you're talking about, it's coming to Clarksdale is like a scavenger hunt. It's not a step-on, step-off bus tour type town. And people come for the music, but they say they come back for the people. We have more characters than Sesame Street. I'm one, and now that you're here, you're part of the cast. I mean, it's about relational learning, and just people will just tell you, go see so and so, or go over here and recommend this and that. And it's just things just pop up that are unexpected in the stories that people have, or I can't tell you they're true, but they're stories. And so, it's just we have been blessed with great tourism, both internationally and domestically. We can't compete with the cities. We don't want to compete with the cities. We don't want to. We're not trying to compete with Beale Street or Memphis. We are who we are, and people come here because they can not only hear blues music, you experience it. It's authentic. It's experiential. And we have the history and all the different places to go, and the museum and the stores that fill in the gaps. But at the end of the day, they want to hear the music, and they want more than just hear it. They want to feel it, feel what it was like. What was the sense of what it was like 50 years ago,
I do, because you just mentioned Memphis, and I was there in September. And I went from Memphis to Nashville, and I said, give me Memphis any day of the week over this in Nashville. And everybody loves my sister. I can't believe you're the only person I know who went to Nashville and said they didn't like it. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just that you go into every bar, you hear the same songs from the same band, and everything's so commercialized. We pulled into town here. It's like, oh my gosh, it's the same vibe as Memphis. This is beautiful. I wasn't even out of the car yet, Bubba.
No.
I was like, I could tell this is going to be an authentic town, which is what I loved about Memphis. And I stayed on the corner of Beale and I can't remember the other street, in a Hyatt or a Hilton, whatever was there. And I walked to Beale Street. It was only 2 blocks down. But everywhere you went, the original music, original blues music, and the cover tunes and the old classics. And so far here, I'm seeing a lot of the same thing, and it's just incredible. This is like a hidden gem of the South.
Well, it is, and we hope you tell people.
Well, we're going to tell them now.
And it's like we saw each other last night at the Bluesberry Cafe.
Right.
Listen to Watermelon Slim, and Rob Robinson goes by Heavy Drunk out of Leapers Fork, Tennessee. That's just an incredible, gift to be able to witness that in an intimate setting.
Yeah.
And it's not a commercial. It's not about the money. It's not, they got to have that to survive, but it's not the driving force.
Right.
And they appreciate you as much as you appreciate them, But tourism is very big and very vital for our town, even though our town doesn't really recognize it and know what we do. That's okay.
Why do you say that?
Well, because everybody's kind of, some people don't care for the blues. I mean, it's just not for everybody. Right. And so, because we have live blues music every night of the week, you can't go out every night of the week. I can't go out every night of the week. But everybody's got their businesses. You've come down here, taken off, so you have free time. Well, everybody here is working. They go home and they got to do their chores and they got to take care of their family and that sort of thing. So, they do come to the festivals and they engage, but they don't understand tourism. They see me walking around with people. They might think I'm a tour guide, and sometimes I do, but they don't know that this is 10 tour operators from Italy that we brought in, or like you noticed, our Titleist Pro V1 golf balls that we have our logo on for a number of golf travel writers that had come in here in a week. They were here a year or so ago, and they wanted to come back. They're staying in Robinsonville, up where the casinos are between here and Memphis, and they're playing the Tunica National Golf Course, but they come in here that night to hear the blues and to have a good time.
Yeah.
And they love it. So we'll have those. So they never know who I'm with, where they're from, And so until you engage one-on-one with people, you don't understand why they're here,
Right.
And we take it for granted. We have to put on a new set of eyes every day, I do, to come downtown, because I see the same old sights and sounds and all that every day, and I have to put on a fresh new eyes or walk around with somebody visiting to really appreciate what they see and appreciate.
Now, we are here as visitors with the Jersey Shore
here.
Jazz and Blues
Yeah.
Foundation, and you have partnered with
We have.
Christine Zemla from the foundation.
Yeah.
Tell us about that partnership.
Well, it started when Roger Stoley at Cathead took Big A Anthony Sherrard up to play, I think, at Monmouth College.
I was at that show, yeah.
All right. And I was not able to go because I was at the Chicago Blues Festival. And I heard so many good stories and things about it from Roger and Christine and just people I'd bump into that were there. I said, well, I want to go up there. And Christine said, well, in August we have the Jersey Shores Jazz and Blues Festival. And I said, well, I would love to pay a fee for the tent and go up there and promote Clarksdale. And while I was there, everybody was coming to the tent, as you did, and others with you on
Where
your
I first
trip.
met you, yeah.
And they said, we would love to come to Clarksdale. We've heard all these good things about it. Finally, at some point, after about an hour of hearing this, I said, well, come in March when Christine is bringing a group down here. And she said, I am. I said, yes, you are, and we'll help you. This is a second year. Yeah. It's just do it, And so with the music, the connection with, Bruce Springsteen, no connection directly with us, but Bob Santelli's been to Clarksdale, the exhibit that they have down at the Grammy Museum.
Yep. Okay.
In Cleveland, I was there and saw Bob. I'd met him a long time ago when he was in Clarksdale, and he doesn't remember me really, but just that music connection, that there's a kindred spirit and support there because, why not? I mean, we're the blues.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right.
And y'all are Springsteen to us. Jersey, y'all love the blues.
I'm a blues musician.
There you go.
So it's always been my favorite genre to play. And it's funny because I was exposed to blues music at the age of 12.
Wow.
By my older cousin, who gave me Led Zeppelin 4.
Yeah.
Which caused me to next buy Led Zeppelin 1. And I'm looking at the back of the album. Now I'm 12, 13 years old, and I'm looking at, who the heck's Willie Dixon? Yeah. Who the heck's Sonny Boy Williams? I mean, who are... Never given it a thought. To me, that was Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And then
Jimmy Page or Robert.
Right. And as a friend of mine says, I've had lead poisoning since I was 12.
Wow.
So I've had my favorite band of all time, being a drummer, John Bon, hands down. But then I went down that line. Okay, who is Willie Dixon? Who is Son House? Who is... And I just kept going and going and going. And I'm like, wow. Because for me, when I heard the drum beat on When the Levee Breaks, I was like, fantastic. But I didn't know that was Memphis Minnie until like 10 years later. So I don't think people realize the importance of blues music. I was in a band one time, Bubba, where a guy said to me, every bit of rock and roll, every bit of, just about every single bit of music has derived from the blues. And I thought he was nuts.
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah.
He was right. So to have it be such an important part of this town, given its history, which I learned a lot about today on my trip with Chili Billy,
Right.
which was fascinating, is just such one of the really coolest things I think I've ever done today. and listen to just to hear that. And do you get a lot of that here? Do people come in and they walk out like amazed? I didn't know that.
Well, not only amazed, but we call it the vortex. It sucks you in. They come here for, like I said, for the music, and then they have this experience, and they're going like, this is not what, I mean, this is unbelievable. We'll be back, and they come back. You know, I met Bob Geldof 2 years ago.
Oh, no kidding.
And I was leaving the next day to go to London for a sales conference meeting with European tour operators, and he knew I was flying the next day over to London. And he says, well, how do you sell Clarksdale? And I tell him, and he grabbed my forearm, and he says, no, Bubba, y'all changed the world. You changed the world. And I said, yeah, I know. I know. He grabbed it again and says, no, you don't. You changed the world, man. And so as I flying over the next night, I was going, we changed the world. We changed it. And I see that. We grew up with this. I don't know if you know Mississippi Fred McDowell.
Mm-hmm.
But
oh, yeah.
Mississippi Fred used to work for my father pumping gas at Stuckey's store in Como. And I used to sit by the pumps. He gave me his record. I do not play no rock and roll. And I remember taking it home and listening to it going like, I'm trying to get into it. I cut my teeth on the Beatles and all of that because I was in the third grade when my brother took me to see the Beatles. Then the next concert he took me to was the Dave Clark 5. And then the next one was James Brown. And I had a mix, but I was in the third grade. And it just changed my life. I just love music. I didn't study it, I can remember I was in the library one day here in town, and the librarian told me, this was probably 1999. She said, well, look who's coming here. I turned around, it was Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. And then some years later, they had an album called Walking into Clarksdale. We just live it.
Right.
We don't try to explain it. The Stones and the way Brian Jones was feeling about the blues and Keith Richards, I mean, it was like, it was the most important thing. They were on a mission. They were not trying to sell records. They were on a mission at that time in the early days. And, we're just excited to have a part in it. And I mean, a big part in it. And it's not just Clarksdale. It's Mississippi. It's the Delta. But, we have a lot of Brits come and say, look, I hope you don't mind us stealing your music. Oh, no, contraire, thank you. For shaping it, because all of music is shaped by the previous artists and styles and techniques. So,
Mick Jagger had a quote, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly what it was, but essentially he said, the Americans don't realize that we took their music, re-recorded it, and sold it back to them.
Yeah,
and
they did,
and that's the truth. If it wasn't for that mid-'60s, let's start with the Beatles. From there until the mid to late 70s, of all these that are now considered classic rock bands that played all this blues music, a lot of people would have never been possibly exposed to it. And
well, they wouldn't have.
So they did do us a favor.
Yeah.
When you mentioned Bob Geldof, he had a backup singer named Zara Phillips, who is now married to the guitarist Richard Thompson. Okay. I played drums for Zara for about 4 years.
Wow.
She was that's how she got into the music, was one of Geldof's backup singers.
Wow.
Just after Live Aid, I think, is when she joined him. But it's just so funny how music just, brings music makes the world
It's a
smaller.
connector.
Yes. Yes.
And, music transcends everything.
Yep.
Race, languages, all kind of demographics, It just, you can talk to somebody, you ever hear this song? Everything. And the other thing, too, is that music, and I'm learning this more and more from me, because I can hear a song and I can remember where I heard it. I can remember when I heard Bangladesh concert came out on 8-track. I can remember where I was driving through the Delta as a teenager just as vividly. They're anchor points of milestones in our lives. They might be huge, but they had an impact in that time, in your life, for whatever reason, just connecting to a song. It gives you peace, it gives you, whatever. It's just a beautiful thing, and I love it,
Yep. And as you said, who was your growing up? What did you listen to, being from this area?
I love British bands. I loved Temptations, Four Tops. Undisputed Truth. Grassroots, Birds, and the first. Allman Brothers, Foghat, Mata Hoople, T-Rex. I had a wide variety of people, and the one that I remember that was really the first blues. This is going to make you think. My first blues song album that I listened to was Savoy Brown, Street Corner Talking.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm in Clarksdale, Mississippi in the early 70s listening to Savoy Brown. And I go, wow, all these people around me, and I had no clue. And Fred McDowell working for my dad, I had no clue. And the Stones recorded his songs,
Okay.
You Got to Move and Shake 'Em On Down, teaching Bonnie Raitt how to play it, just an hour and a half from over here.
Now, you're familiar with Savoy Brown?
No, a
So,
little bit.
Sean Chambers.
Okay.
You know Sean?
I don't.
Okay, Sean just recorded a live album from Daryl's house in New York.
Yeah.
It's in upstate New York there. And he uses, for the tour, when he goes out on the road, he uses the Savoy Brown rhythm section.
Well,
The last one before
Yeah.
Kim died, actually. And he was in Savoy Brown for a while before Kim died. And then they wrote the last album, and then Kim passed away before they got a chance to record everything. But Kim Simmons, of course. But Sean put out this live album, and Street Corner Talking it's one of the Savoy Brown songs he put on the record. It's a great record. It really is. Sean Chambers.
well, I had friends. I worked in a music store back then and selling, reel-to-reel turntables, amps, all that stuff, and 8-tracks and then cassettes. And I had people that were friends that were studying it. I was not studying it. I was just catching a groove. And the thing that I could do was turn people on to a new record, a new artist, because I knew what they liked. And I didn't, I just didn't know the names, and I didn't. And I regret that, but that's just the kind of person I am. I see something I like, I hear something I like, I don't study it. I wish I had but I just catch the groove. And it's amazing. I'm learning so much. It's exciting because it all comes back to Clarksdale or this area,
Yes, it does. And speaking of this, you're so connected to this area, obviously, that you decided to throw your hat in the ring in politics.
Yes, that's a journey. I'm on a mission. I tell them I'm on a mission. I'm not a politician. Because it is. It's very hard. It's very close to my heart because we have a lot of issues here that our visitors don't see. We have 40% poverty. We have a broken city administration, but I have seen from '99. I've seen what we've done with downtown when there were no cars downtown, no restaurants, no hotels, nothing. To see what starting the Juke Joint Festival evolved into today, and to come to to visit Clarksdale as executive director and to be able to go internationally and promote Clarksdale and hear the feedback and be one-on-one with people such as yourself that are so interested in our town. But our people are hurting, and I feel like that there's something that I have something to bring to the table to help that, because it's all about the people. Whether the people coming here, whether people hearing music, playing music, the musicians, it's about the people. It's not about money. It's not about tourism. When I say you're not a tourist, you're a visitor. And there's nothing too good for our visitor. So, we oftentimes let those type things leave us, and we miss the true value of what we're here for. And that's about each other and it's one-on-one relation and showing hospitality. Because you might be so excited that you're here. We're equally excited or more that you're here. And you're not a person walking around with a dollar sign on your forehead like every tourist is in all these other places. You're our friend. You came to our town to experience it, and we want you to experience the fullness of it. And so, I feel like God's got me on a journey, and this is my step. I feel very much called to this. It was not something I was seeking, because I do love my job. But I'm going to run hard and run clean, and I hope that the people see the passion in me, because I do believe I can bring something to our city government.
Well, anybody I know that mentions Clarksdale, and most of which I've been exposed to by Christine and the Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation. But I told you, I spoke to Kingfish Ingram. I was like, "You're from Clarksdale, you know Bubba?" And he's like, "Oh, God, yeah." And he's like, "Everybody knows Bubba." And, you are. I can guarantee you that there's not a place you can go into where somebody here isn't going to know you or recognize you.
Well, it is a small town. And I'm not shy, as you can tell. I'm out there, and I just love people. We humans underestimate a pat on the back, a kind word, a gentle touch. We need to encourage each other, not bring them down, not beat them down. I don't care what political party you're in. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what your finances are. We need to love one another, and I truly mean that. That's just, people are hurting.
Yeah.
And if we can, I like to share what I want shared back to me, because there are days that I'm lifted. Somebody can say something to bring me up, or they can say something to bring you down. And I want to be elevated all the time, and I want to elevate people. That's it,
And before I wrap it up, because I'm going to let you go. I know you're a busy man.
I don't have anything to do.
Yeah,
I get paid to talk to you,
that's
man.
a beautiful thing. But if you were on a national stage or television commercial that was running countrywide, what would you say was your favorite part about being part of Clarksdale? What do they call people in Clarksdale? Clarksdalians? I'm from a town outside of Trenton, New Jersey. They call us Trentonians.
There you go. Well, we don't go around a Clarksdalian. They're my neighbor. They're my friend. I know this guy. We are on an international stage, literally. And so what I would tell them about Clarksdale is that it is a very genuine town where people care for each other. You might not think so, but they really do. And that's like every town. I like to say that, they might not like you, but they love you. And liking can be like a light switch. 1 minute they turn it on, 1 minute they turn it off. But loving you is being there when you need something, we're not as bad as we seem to each other here. You don't see that, but that's in every town. I think that it is a mystique that is beyond comprehension. You don't try to figure it out. You just go with the flow. It's a serendipitous experience that you just go out there in Clarksdale, get set on just go here first, and then it's just an experiential thing that you can't package. And it's like living in a Tennessee Williams movie, living in a blues song. There's intense poverty, intense wealth, intense heat, intense cold in the winter. Everything is intense. Gossip is intense. I mean, everything is intense. We're in a pressure cooker here, and I like it because to me it's called life, and we live life. This is what we do.
You mentioned international stage. After I saw you this morning, and when you stopped for that brief moment, within seconds after you stopped, a gentleman came walking down the street, and I didn't even see him coming, and I heard him say, "Good morning, how are you, sir?" And I look up, and I was like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And he turned around, he had on a Raiders t-shirt, Oakland Raiders t-shirt, or Las Vegas Raiders, wherever they're at now. So we start talking about football. And he stood there for a good 5 minutes talking to me about football. He's not even out of sight, and a woman comes out with her husband. He went around to get the car. She's from the UK. They came all the way here. They started in San Diego, and they've driven all the way over to, she's a big Elvis fan, so she went to Tupelo, and then now today they were heading to Graceland. And so we ran into them. They were there last night at Bluesberry, these two people. So, yeah, it is a small town, and you do run into your neighbors, and you do see a lot of this, and it's great. As soon as we pulled in, I wasn't even out of the car. I said, I love the vibe of this place.
We're glad you do.
I do. I really do.
People come from all over the world, all the time. One by one, two by twos. I got 10 Italian tour operators coming in September. I got 2 Irish bloggers, not cloggers, bloggers, content creators coming in next week. I mean, that is Clarksdale. That is Clarksdale.
It's beautiful. Well, Roger.
That's
Bubba.
Right.
There you go. I don't know why Roger was on. I got to see him.
Team.
I got to see him next. Yeah. Bubba, thank you, man.
My
so
pleasure.
much.
Matter of fact, I mean, he and I both co-founded the Juke Joint Festival.
When is that? Now it's coming up soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in April.
Okay.
April 13th, I guess.
Right. And what do you do? Is that you block it off, or you?
It's all downtown.
Okay.
And we have last year we had all 50 states, and we had over 25 different countries come. Last year we had Algiers and Russia.
Oh, no kidding.
And it's I don't want to steal Roger's thunder. I'll let Roger tell you about that.
All right.
But it is a very incredible experience.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. My producer, Claire, has entered the room. So
I see.
Again, Bubba, thank you so much.
Oh, the pleasure's mine.
And websites for Visit Clarksdale?
Absolutely. Visit Clarksdale.com.
Okay.
And,
any other websites we should know about? For the Juke Joint Festival? Or?
Juke Joint Festival. I mean, we have over 20 festivals. So, it's just come.
There you go.
And if you got any questions, and it's all on our website or call our office. And as you know, I give everybody my card with my cell number on there. If you got a problem, let me know. We'll take care of you.
That's fantastic. Well, Bubba, thank you so much.
Oh,
man.
the pleasure is mine.
I appreciate your time. I love your town.
We love you loving it.
This is I still have, what do we have left, Claire? 3 days yet, I guess?
Yep.
And pace yourself.
I'm going to be sorry to leave.
Well, we'll be glad for you to come back.
It's fantastic.
That's the deal.
All right. Well, Bubba O'Keefe, hopefully the next mayor of Clarksdale, head of the Clarksdale Tourism Division. Visit Clarksdale.com. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Good. Thank you.
Lord, when you get home, baby, please write me a few of your lines. Lord, when you get home, baby, so Lord, write me a few of your lines. Lord, that'll be consolation. Oh, Lord, mama, to my worried mind. Lord, I left my baby standing in her back door crying. Lord, I left my baby standing, Lord, in her back door crying. Lord, I never felt so sorry, Lord, honey, until she says goodbye. Sit down on the ground. You know I'm going down to the river, baby. I'm gonna sit down on the ground. I'm gonna let the waves of water, Lord, baby, wash my trouble down.
That was Mississippi Fred McDowell with Write Me a Few Lines.
That was, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, the trip was just amazing, but it can definitely be summed up in stepping back in time. And really, it's just a simple life. It's just, like you said, the vibe there is just amazing. And you go to visit Clarksdale.com, and that's the office we were at where you were recording Bubba, which was just a quaint little visitor center, and we took our picture and such. So yeah, it was good. I loved the trip. It was great. And now we moved over to Roger, so he's our next guy. So
yeah, we took the visitor center by storm. Yeah, no, but you heard Bubba mention Roger. Mm-hmm. Roger Stoley owns a store called Cathead. Mm-hmm. Roger is a transplant who went to Clarksdale and never left. And I understand why.
Yeah.
It's an interesting vibe in Clarksdale.
It is.
It's a very depressed looking town, but inside the doors of the stores is a vibrant scene like I've never encountered.
Yeah.
I mentioned, I think, in one interview how it's like, it might even be this one with Roger, how it's like Memphis light.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to Beale Street in Memphis with the juke joints and the clubs, they don't look like, these. It's not
Glamorous,
Nashville.
yeah,
Let's
no,
put it
right,
this way.
right.
But you will never encounter a more amazing.
People. I mean, just warm.
Yeah,
the music,
I can't even. The words I can't even describe.
And it was clean. There was no garbage. There was no one on the streets. I mean, it was quiet, but it was warm. Anybody you encountered was just friendly, always accommodating. It was really nice.
Well, and everywhere you looked, there was a big blue sign telling you something of historical significance that happened. Whether it was where Ike Turner
wrote the first rock and roll song,
or Sam Cooke. They're W.C. Handy. I mean, the lists just go on and on and on. Right. So here's my interview with Roger Stoley, where he talks about Big A, who we mentioned earlier.
Who's coming up.
Who will be here at the end of June, so keep your eye out for that. Go to the Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation website, jsjbf.org, and keep checking for details.
Right.
But here's Roger Stoley of Cathead talking about the mystique of Clarksdale. Once again, in the Mississippi Delta, except this time I am on, what is this? Is this Delta Avenue?
This is Delta Avenue, that's right.
I am here with Roger. It's Stoll, right?
Stoley,
Roger
actually.
Stoley,
Yeah.
okay, in his store, which is an incredible store called Cathead. Hello, Roger.
Well, how you doing? Welcome.
I am thrilled to be here.
Well, we're thrilled to have you.
Well, I'm glad. I have had a total blast since I got here.
I believe you.
As I said to, I was talking to Bubba.
Yes.
The other day, and as I said to him, I said, I've been to Memphis, and this is like a smaller version of Memphis.
Yeah. This is the real deal.
It is. It's so authentic and real.
Yes.
And the people are incredible, and the music is even more incredible, and the history is just so. Give me Roger Stoley's history.
Sure.
Of how he came to be in Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Sure. So I'm from Dayton, Ohio originally, and I got into music when I was young. It was actually when Elvis died in 1977. I was 10 years old. The first music I paid attention to, started buying little 45 RPM records with my allowance that turns out I now know were blues cover songs, blues and R&B. So I got into blues through the back door, self-educated through the years. Went to college, got out, stumbled into advertising. Eventually, in February 1995, that took me to St. Louis, Missouri. Now, in St. Louis, of course, there was a great blues scene at the time because you had a lot of the great migration bluesmen from Mississippi who didn't make it to Chicago. They stopped there. So it was a great scene. But being 5 hours from Mississippi, I decided, well, I'm going to go down and do the Dead Man Blues Tour. So I thought it was all gone. I thought I'll see the grave sites, birthplaces. At that time, there was one blues museum. It was super small, upstairs in the Carnegie Public Library here in Clarksdale. And, you do those kind of things. Well, that trip was basically that, but I got to talk to a lot of people and realized that you could luck into live blues experiences. They just weren't as common as they once had been. So the second visit, I lucked into a juke joint experience up in Chulahoma, Mississippi, middle of nowhere, Junior Kimbrough's place. It was this awesome juke joint, looked like nothing on the outside. This old brown building, clearly built without the aid of an architect, at some time. They said it was a former church, I don't know. But he ran it on Sunday nights, most Sunday nights, I'd say. He said every, but it wasn't every. And inside, you stepped in the door, every square inch had folk art painted right on the walls, the ceiling, just crazy colorful murals and sparkles and all that. There's moonshine getting passed around. R.L. Burnside and his kids and grandkids, Junior Kimbrough, his kids and grandkids, they all played. Total local African-American audience. It really just blew my mind. It was like an Alan Lomax moment or stepping into a history book. And just could not get that out of my head because it showed me that it still existed in its real, true Mississippi form, but it just wasn't happening, every night, not always on a schedule, wasn't really advertised. And so through the years, I kept visiting, looking for those experiences, getting to know musicians who I could visit at home, like T. Model Ford and these kind of characters. But I kept thinking, if you could make this reliable, I'm a blues fan, I was a tourist, I know there's fans all around the globe. If we could make it reliable and we could be that town, when I honed in on Clarksdale, Mississippi, they had the music most nights, We end up being 365 nights a year now. We're every single night. But most nights even, then we could be the stop between Memphis and New Orleans, is how I looked at it. Now I'd say between Nashville, Memphis, and New Orleans, although 23 years ago when I moved here, people weren't really talking about Nashville, to be honest about it. So you fast forward, and after working with Red Payton at Red's Lounge, informally, not working like like I had a job, although I did a lot of work, getting him to be reliable, and then working officially and formally with Ground Zero Blues Club for 7 years, getting them up to 4 nights a week live blues, and always blues, not some of the stuff that would occasionally get in there. We started to really cover off the weekend with no problem. Then others like me started moving here and opening Hambone, for example, Bluesberry Cafe, eventually like the Bad Apple Blues Club. And those were folks who were willing to take, the odd days or the odd hours to cover us off. Now, you look at last year, we had live blues every single night in Clarksdale, plus many days, typically Wednesday through Sunday, there was something during the day. And we also went from one festival a year back then, which is still a great festival, the Sunflower River Blues and Gospel Festival, in August, if you want to come when it's hot. We still have that, but now we have like 15 other festivals of varying size and scope. The biggest of which will celebrate 22 years in April. That's the Juke Joint Festival, Juke. Folks interested in that can go to jukejointfestival.com. It is over 100 blues acts, as well as monkeys riding dogs, herding sheep out of Pontotoc, Mississippi. So there you go, in a nutshell, the Delta. So anyway,
that's part of the character.
Yeah, exactly.
That you
That's the
about.
thing,
Yeah.
and it's, Bubba O'Keefe, our tourism director, oftentimes tells people we have more characters than Sesame Street, and it really is true. There are so many characters here, and we mean that in the best way, like really interesting people and artists and musicians. Of course, we have all the history and culture that's just inherent to this place, the food, all that kind of stuff. But to be able to offer the live blues experience on a regular basis like we do is really, it just brings it all home. And because of that, we have really cool places to stay. We have what we call unique lodging on top of traditional lodging, everything from an award-winning hostel to, old shacks to luxury lofts to, a Hampton Inn. So folks just need to come on over
To Clarksdale. Now you have this shop here.
Sure.
Cathead. Interesting name.
Yeah, so Cathead Delta Blues and Folk Art, again, 23 years old. And I named the store Cathead originally for 3 reasons, the least of which would be Cathead biscuits, a southern biscuit the size of a cat's head, kind of a quasi-local food item. Also, the middle of the 3 reasons, I guess, would be blues record labels that have animal names. There's so many of them. Blind pig, fat possum, armadillo, alligator, rooster, catfish. Earwig isn't exactly an animal, I guess it's an insect, but it's something. But, looking at all that, I sit well with that as a blues store, which is what I am, with a lot of music, CDs, tapes even, records, DVDs. But the main reason I called it Cathead are the so-called Cathead drawings of Pat Thomas. And unfortunately, had you interviewed me a month ago, I could have used present tense, but he has passed on recently. But a Leland, Mississippi bluesman, folk artist, character. He inherited his father, James' son Thomas's musical and artistic styles. But one of the things Pat did was draw cats and cat heads. Never wrote cat head, but he called anything with a cat head. And I'm telling you, he did tens of thousands of these basic line art folk drawings through the decades.
Where are they now?
Well, I suppose they're all around the world in people's living rooms or something. But
Okay.
for example, I realize it's radio and you all can't see this, but down there, those poster boards, those are just basic examples of cathead drawings. Just real basic folk art. But it was the obsessiveness of it. And if you ever met him, he was just such a special guy, such a character, and never met a stranger. But, also crazy in a good way, as I'd always say. Absolute character. So, he didn't travel around a lot. He didn't tour a lot, but he was amazing. And really, he was part of the inspiration for my store name. Also now, in Mississippi and, 30-some states with distribution, there is a Cathead vodka. That is not my brand, but it is. The name was inspired by my store. And should you see a bottle of that, it has a cat head on the label, and that is one of Pat's drawings.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you didn't realize how complicated that answer would be to your simple question.
There are no complicated answers. Although we took a tour with Chili Billy the other day, and anything you asked him, well, that's a complicated answer.
Exactly. That's a great tour.
It was.
Yeah.
The history that I was unaware of.
Sure.
You know. So you have this store.
So
and
basically, it's the store I always wanted to walk into but could never find. It's all the blues and also folk art, Mississippi stuff that sort of pulled into one space. A, because that's what I love and can kind of, showcase to people, but also it attracts folks to come through the door, and then I can try to trick them into spending the night if they thought they were only going to visit for 2 hours in Clarksdale and head on down the road and be like, well, there's live blues at 3 o'clock at the Bad Apple, and then, at 5 o'clock, Delta Blues Alley Cafe, and hey, tonight at Red's and Ground Zero. So, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the music, one of the knocks, as a blues musician myself, one of the knocks a lot of my friends would say is, oh, that stuff sounds the same. And I would just laugh at them and say, ha, you uneducated fools.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Some of it will sound the same, some of it may not, but they don't understand. Just like anything else, there's different styles of blues. There's swing blues, jump blues, traditional blues, Delta blues, acoustic blues, folk blues, country blues. There's so much blues that people don't understand because all they think about is da 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 da.
Yep. They heard a Budweiser commercial and they think that's the blues,
Exactly.
I tell people when they say they don't like blues or something along those lines here in my store, usually one member of a couple will be like, well, I don't really like blues. I'll be like, well, what do you listen to? Do you like music? Because if you like music, I promise you there is a blues for you.
It came from the blues.
Yeah,
probably, too.
everything short of classical music,
came from the blues.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm here is I'm with the foundation, Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation, which is where I first met you a couple of years ago, when Big A, I believe, was up at Monmouth University. How did you develop that partnership with the foundation and
Sure. So Christine Zemla is a longtime visitor to the Delta and to Clarksdale and to my store, Cathead. And literally, as we are talking, people can't see this, but he's on one side of my counter here at the store and I'm on the other. And that's exactly how that conversation started. And basically, I think it was something the effect of, wow, I wish we could bring what I experienced here back to New Jersey so people could understand why this is so special. And it's like, well, why can't you? Because that's the thing. These folks, the real deal musicians who grew up here in this environment, juke joints and house parties, learning from their older blues mentors, they don't play one show here and a whole different thing when they go somewhere else. They bring Clarksdale to you. So you get as much of that experience as you can get just from a musical stage type thing. Of course, Big A, for those who were at the show, you may remember he brings it out to the audience. He's just always done that because that's what you do in a juke joint. So it becomes real interactive.
Did you hear what happened last night?
No.
So last night we went to Edna Nicole.
Sure.
Was supposed to be at Red's.
Yeah.
Tonight, Big A was supposed to be at Red's. Well, apparently Red's had to close because there's an electrical issue.
Yeah, he's getting it worked on. It'll be fine when you all visit.
Correct. So we went over to the hostel, and there was a country band there or something. Yeah. So we didn't even go in, and we left, and we went over to Den again. And the gentleman, I don't remember who it was.
I think somebody said Will.
I don't know. It was supposed to be a duo.
Yeah, Will Coppage, probably.
I don't know.
Okay.
But anyway, he had just finished.
Okay.
So we're like, we came over to hear some music. So there's a gentleman there. He said, well, we were going to go see Edna Nicole tonight and Big A tomorrow night.
Yeah.
He said, well, let me make a phone call. He makes a phone call, hands the phone to Christine Zemla.
Yeah.
And hands her the phone, and next thing you know, Edna and Big A and their whole band showed up, gave us a private show.
That's fantastic.
And we're just shaking our heads only in Clarksdale.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's not actually that unusual is the truth of it. I mean, there's so much spontaneity here. There are so many musicians that, somebody is always available if somebody's not already playing. And last night was very unique just because we had storms roll through here and everything else. There was just some electrical things that have to be done at Red's, the juke joint. Otherwise, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like clockwork, there's live blues.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, I look around this store and it's a treasure trove of history. I just happened to see Morgan Freeman over there on the
Yes.
wall next to Keith Richards.
Yeah, he's a property owner here in Clarksdale, of course.
Is that Muddy Waters above Morgan?
It is, yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a later period. Yeah, it's radio, so we'll just tell you what we're looking at. We're looking at wood burnings. The guy that's next door to my store here, Brian Weems, he burns wood portraits.
Oh,
And
nice.
so he's done a bunch of blues folks. He also did Morgan Freeman, because Morgan, of course, a block down, co-owns Ground Zero Blues Club. So.
Right. Great. So going forward, what's the plans for Roger Stoley and Cathead and
Well,
Clarksdale? Well, you have the festival coming.
Yeah,
up.
that's the thing. I mean, I spend, thousands of hours, I don't even know, a year working on like Juke Joint Festival. I'm on the tourism board. Of course, I have the store. I've got a radio show actually on San Diego station, KSDS. And then I put on some smaller festivals, the film festival, for example. I write a column for Blues Music Magazine. I've written some books. I'm working on another project right now. So just stuff like that, things I could just go on and on. I get wrapped up in a lot of stuff. I'm taking actually on Monday, Big A and the All-Stars, we just talked about, and Super Chicken. I'm taking to Florida for a couple dates in Fort Myers and Naples. So I keep busy.
Well, I have a ex-in-law and a friend that lives down in Fort Myers.
Well, there you go. Everybody ends up in Florida in the end,
I'll
I
have
think.
to alert them to that,
Yeah,
right?
please do, yeah.
And you just said that. Oh, your radio show. Well, tell me about the radio show.
So the Crossroads Delta Blues Hour on KSDS in San Diego.
Okay.
88.3. You can go to jazz88.org and hear archived shows or live if people want to be there on a Saturday. Just a 1 hour show. It's just me talking about here. That was the deal when I agreed to do it. It's about here. It happens to be on a San Diego station, but I talk about the events here, the musicians here, the history here. Most of the music is from, Clarksdale, Delta, Mississippi, and vicinity. Some will reach out a little bit. I'll do birthday specials each month and things like that. But really trying to promote people to visit here is what that is all about.
All right. Fantastic. All right. Well, Roger, thank you so much, man, for your time.
Absolutely. And if people are interested in more about my store, it's cathead.biz, cathead.biz on the World Wide Web.
Beautiful. And also, don't forget, visit Clarksdale. I'm sure
visit
you got a mention
clarksdale.com.
on there somewhere, too.
Yeah, so visit clarksdale.com is our local tourism website. There are some free apps on there. One is sort of a travel app, and one is an audio walking tour app. Also, this is very popular, that is our best single listing of all the available lodging in town. Actually, it's visit clarksdale.com/stayall. But you can go to the main site, and that shows you all the places you can stay, all the cool, unique lodging, as well as just the standard hotel stuff.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Roger, thank you so much for your
Absolutely.
time, man. A great store. I love shops like this.
Well, thank you. I
love
appreciate it.
All right.
And enjoy.
Okay. You too, my friend. It was very nice seeing you again.
Yes.
I got a cold feeling. It feel like icicles around my heart. Yes, I got a cold feeling. Feel like icicles around my heart. My baby, she don't love me no more, no. I think she done found another man. I've been looking for that woman a mighty long time. Y'all know that little girl, she just can't be found. I got a cold feeling. Feel like icicles around my heart. I believe that woman got another man on her mind. Lord have mercy. You know I love you, baby. When you told me to pack my bags and go, yes, I know you didn't love me, woman. When you told me to pack my bags and go, you know I forgive you, darling. I got to tell the whole world. I got a cold feeling. Feel like icicle around my my baby don't love me no more, y'all. I believe she done went on with somebody else. There's about 2 or 3 of them there.
Anthony Big A Sherrod with his tune Cold Feeling.
Nice.
They were just down, if you heard Roger said they were just down in Florida. He had to take the group down there on a little road trip.
Nice.
They're very sought after.
Very much.
He is quite the character, Big A.
Yeah.
As we found out hanging out with him at various juke joints. Then again. Remember he comes in, I was cleaning fish.
I got a phone call.
I was cleaning fish. That's Clarksdale, though. Speaking of which, we were there. In the blog, I talked about your butterfly shrimp.
That's right. And
Right.
your frog legs.
And my frog legs. And I had catfish. Come on, that catfish was good.
I don't know.
I gave you some.
A little bit. I'm not a blackened fan. I probably would have liked the fried catfish better, but yeah, I tasted it. I tasted everything. I tasted a frog leg. I had a piece of that. So yeah, I had the flavor.
We definitely dove into the local culture,
We did.
which we're going to do again. This next interview is with Eric Meyer. He's one of the 3 partners in the Ground Zero.
A blues club.
Unfortunately, it was closed for renovations when we were there. But as I said at the top of the show, the other 2 partners were Harry. Was it Harry or Henry? Harry Stovall, whose family has owned a
Plantation for
160 years.
Where Muddy Waters was discovered.
And Muddy Waters' house was right across from the main house. And Morgan Freeman, the actor.
Right. And Chili Billy took us there, too. He took us all over.
Yeah, Chili Billy
Clarksdale.
took us everywhere. And we're looking into doing an interview with just Chili Billy
Yes, that'd
as
be
well.
great. That'd be awesome.
I have to hope I can still find his business card. Otherwise,
Oh, you can just, I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Zemla! But here's our interview with Eric Meyer, one of the owners of the Ground Zero Blues Club.
You know, so I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and my daughters are now, one's graduated, one went off to college. Ex-wife is here, and so, but I had a passion about music. My first opportunity was I backed a band based here in Portland that did quite well, kind of indie rock group, band named Everclear. And, and then I actually got involved with a grunge club up in Seattle called the Crocodile, which Peter Buck from REM founded it, and then a bunch of local folks in the music industry and a passion for music bought the club, and we've expanded our, the ownership team, and it's become kind of a hallmark for, the grunge movement of the 90s. Folks like Nirvana and Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains. So that was my first foray into being involved as one of the club owners, and then was fortunate enough to go down to the Delta with my girlfriend and went down to the Mississippi Delta. Met Bill Luckett, who had co-founded this with Morgan Freeman and Howard Stovall, and met them, and given some of my business experiences with clubs and music, joined them. It took about 2 years to vet me to make sure I was legit. But anyway, bought a home in the Delta with a buddy, and just basically got involved, and over a series of time got more actively involved, and it's been a great ride, and really in many ways as much of an ambassador role as anything, right? And being able to keep the blues alive and serve as a kind of a hallmark of blues and kind of the origins of the genre. And fast forward to today, we've got a sister club on the coast, Ground Zero Blues Club in Biloxi. We've been closed for a little bit. We're going to reopen very shortly, and continue to deliver world-class blues music to locals and folks from around the globe who come to enjoy music. We're actively involved in, I would say, the Juke Joint Festival, which is in April. There's a series of other festivals, Sunflower Festival. There's events in the fall. And it's as much of a living shrine as it is a blues club. And I'm sorry we're not open for you to experience it. I wish you were here next week and we'd be welcoming you with open arms. But and we've even taken a step further. We're now touring with symphonies around the United States where we're playing a form of this music, which is blues music integrated with symphonic orchestras. And so we'll be doing shows in a number of cities starting late July this year, what we're calling Morgan Freeman's Symphonic Blues Experience. So that's we'll be up in your neighborhood basically later this summer.
Oh yeah, where at? Whereabouts?
Are you familiar with Summer Stage?
Oh,
New
the
York
Stone
City,
Pony.
Central Park.
Oh, okay. But there's two of them. There's that one, and there's one at the Stone Pony in Asbury Park. There's a Summer Stage.
We're in that other little city called New York City. We'll be playing there later this summer, and we'll be playing in Chicago and other venues around the country.
Oh, fantastic!
So, yeah, it's a very, look, it's highly authentic, and that we're playing classic Delta blues and just general blues songs. But when you bring a 50-piece symphony to the party, it's pretty impactful.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, it's, the beauty of Clarksdale, it's an authentic place. It's got huge cultural and music, history relevance, and we've worked hard at the club to keep it authentic.
Well, one of the things back in September, I went to Memphis and then I went to Nashville. I should have done it the other way around because I spent an extra day or two in Nashville. I should have done it in Memphis because give me Memphis over Nashville any day. I'm a blues musician myself, and
there you go.
And I also am an entertainment journalist, so I get to talk to a lot of blues musicians, rock and roll Hall of Famers, that sort of thing. And when you sit back and you look, the best time I had in Nashville, Eric, was when I went to Printer's Alley and found the Bourbon and Brews or Blues Club. Off of Broadway, off of, Writers, oh my gosh, what the heck's the name of it? Where all the Music Row down there. Off of all that stuff.
Yeah, you've got all the honky tonks on Broadway and the Bluebird Cafe and the whole deal.
And you go in there and you hear the same bands playing the same songs because they work for tips. And yet I went to Memphis and hung around and on Beale Street and I heard authentic blues music, real original blues music, cover tunes, classics, even some classic rock cover band at one bar. And it was just, the vibe was so much different. And before I even got out of the car here on Wednesday afternoon, I said, this is the same vibe as Memphis. This is incredible. I loved it before I even set foot on the ground.
Oh, God bless you. I mean, it's authentic, right? I think that's the one thing that I find this part of the United States probably one of the most authentic places where, the culture and the complexity of the region and just the confluence of all sorts of things from music to social justice to just the narrative and the hard scrabble environment, it's unchanged. I mean, you could say that's good and bad, but I think it's given its a unique set of DNA that frankly people like yourself appreciate. And this doesn't stop within the borders of our country. You get folks from all over the world that appreciate the legacy. Look at the British rockers. These guys arguably were heavily influenced. I mean, the Stones, AC/DC,
Led Zeppelin.
Animals, Zeppelin, and then you look at even Fleetwood Mac. They were all blues cover bands when they started.
Yep.
And then they found their own voice, but they didn't lose the underlying impact of blues. And the same thing about gospel music. I mean, there's a really cool picture of John Lee Hooker, and the backdrop is almost like a flow diagram on a chalkboard of all the genres the blues have influenced. influence. And that's part of the opportunity with our, symphonic blues experience, is to bring this relevance and knowledge that this is an important genre that's still alive and well, whether it's the music of Big A and Kingfish and Keith Johnson and Lala Craig and Lucius Spiller and all these other musicians that Marquise Knox, these guys that are making their own flavor of this music that, was shaped generationally by folks that preceded them.
Yeah, and one of the things that I couldn't help, now, like I said, Big A came up to Monmouth University in New Jersey a couple of years ago. Incredible talent. I marveled. All he had was a borrowed twin reverb amp, no foot pedals, nothing on the floor. It was just him and a guitar. And I said to the guy whose amp it was that he borrowed, why can't every guitarist understand what he's doing right now? Some of these guys show up. I did a gig one time with Doug Wimbush of Living Colour. It was a Sam Cooke tribute. And Eric, he showed up with a pedal board in a keyboard case, like an electric keyboard case. And he's a bass player. And I looked at him, I said, Doug, when I die, I want to come back as your battery salesman. Because, and they have all these effects. Yeah, Big A gets out there and does nothing but use the volume knobs and mutes the strings, and it sounds like $1 million. And
well, don't lose sight of the fact. So I'm a ukulele hack, right? So
okay.
But my point being is, I've asked him. I said, "Hey, I'd love some lessons." And he looks at me and he takes his 2 fingers and taps my heart and said, "Start here."
Yeah.
And so my point being is, I think, Johnny Billington, taught him, and he was fortunate enough to, the ripe old age of 8 years old, to play with B.B. King, and, right place, right time. But I think he understands the essence of what makes this music so impactful, and the legacy. And it starts with kind of an emotion first. And he plays with his heart, and it shows.
What did it for you? What attracted you to blues music?
I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American. I think the fact that this genre is classic American, and it's rich in storytelling, it's authentic. And then, as I've learned and listened more, it's very heartwarming for me to hear music today and realize of the impact of the blues. So I think it's the authenticity. I think it's the realness. I think the fact that it's, this music could have died time and time again, right? But it had an incredible impact, and I just like the fact that it's real, it's raw, it's got a lot of history bound up into it, and it had a profound impact on music. And I think that's the same reason Morgan decided to make sure we launched this club, as did Bill and Howard. So, I don't know. That's a long answer to a short question. Apologize.
Speaking of Howard, we were on the tour, and all of a sudden, Billy stopped the Jeep this morning, and Howard sticks his head in the window.
Oh yeah. He and I were on a call this morning.
He had just gotten a haircut.
He's a great guy, and he's got as many stories as anyone. And look, his family's been in the Delta for 150 years, 160 years. Yeah,
well, it's one of the things I like about this type of environment is the stories, because even if they're only half true, there's still basis in fact, except
and the region,
right?
Whether it's music, whether it's written prose, whether it's Faulkner or John Grisham. This place, I think Eudora Welty. It's just it's an area that has got so much folklore. And look, blues was, in many ways, it was the narrative of slaves and sharecroppers and folks that were modifying West African music and then telling their story through work songs, which was the foundation of blues.
And lyrically, there's no genre of music that can compete with the blues when it comes to lyrics.
No.
Because if they're not telling a story, they're making fun or they're throwing some sort of innuendo in there that makes you think, "Ooh, look at that."
No, I mean, Morgan will be quick to remind you that, it's a story of lament. But, it's on different levels, and but it's got such staying power. That's the thing that's always so amazing.
Very true. So with Ground Zero itself, now it's hard to say that. I mean, of course, as a business owner, you want it to be successful because it's your business. But is there any, and you're also part of the culture, of course, but is there any objective for the club other than to provide great blues music and maybe a little bit of history?
I mean, you could ask the same question of someone that owns a sports team, a restaurant. I come out of the healthcare software realm. Look, if you have what I call product market fit, in other words, are you delivering something that people want to enjoy, or I would say music joy, and you figure out how to run a good business, then the rest will kind of take care of itself. So I think that you got to deliver an authentic solution or an authentic offering, and I think we got to make sure we stay true to our roots. So, are we going to go out and play country music? Probably not. If there's an interesting artist coming to town that has a American roots focus, absolutely. But I think we want to stick to our roots, or our core of what we're doing, which is to be the preeminent blues club in the world. So what does that mean? It means that the place needs to feel like a juke joint. You got to deliver music that's aligned with that. There's probably certain food and drink offering you're going to expect to see, and frankly, be nice. I think our management team does a phenomenal job of making sure that there's an authentic experience where people feel like they're welcome. And there's something about the Mississippi spirit that is holistic. So not that you couldn't get that in Trenton. So Danny, I'm not poking fun in Jersey. My daughter was born in Jersey.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I did what I call my tour of duty, working in Johnson & Johnson up there. And we had a great time. But
in New Brunswick?
We were in Somerville.
Oh, okay.
So we lived just outside of Somerville.
That's where my daughter was born.
Okay.
Somerville.
And and it was great. But my point is you want to make sure you got good product market fit. You want to make sure that you're delivering joy. It's sometimes hard to explain it. There's something about the place, the club, the environment. I don't know. You tell me. But my family and friends from the West Coast, when they come out, I said, it's hard to explain. You just got to come experience it. And a great, whether it's our New Year's Eve party or anniversary party in May or juke joint or whatever, it's almost like a revival as much as it is really a true juke joint experience. The energy there is you want to bottle it.
Well, I as I said before, I even set foot on the ground and got out of the car, I could tell the vibe in this town was incredible. And I felt like that. Remember that old movie Quest for Fire? Where they were, I was in search of a match, a cigarette lighter, anything, because I had a cigar I wanted to smoke. So I finally found some fire this morning, and I go outside about 11:30 with a cup of coffee, and I'm having a small cigar, and Bubba pulls by, and he stops, and he gets out. Not more than 30 seconds after he leaves, a gentleman's walking down the street. I'm not paying attention, and I hear him say, "Good morning, sir. How are you?" And I look up, and I'm like, "Oh, hey." And he had a Raiders T-shirt on. So now him and I had about a 5-minute conversation about the NFL. And then a woman comes outside and she says, "Can I sit with you?" And I'm like, "Sure." From the UK, she's a big Elvis fan, and they started in Palm Springs, then went to Tupelo. Now they're going to Graceland, and just like I met all these interesting people in less than a half hour.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and again, I'm sorry I'm not there to spend time with you, but that's what it is. You know, it's as much of a model as anything else. So it's authentic. I mean, again, you can find other places like that where this strong, almost indigenous culture of locals, but then you get that infused with people like me and others that say, hey, I want to invest in the community and be a part of this. And, you know, then the community responds favorably. So there's plenty of people like me that compliment people like Bubba that's been there, and Howard and, you know, Tennille and, you know, our managers that got a long history of it there. And by and large, you know, if you're willing to lean in, Danny, if you want to come and lean in, you'll be welcomed. You know, it's funny. So when I bought a place in Clarksdale, the lovely realtor helped, you know, make this a reality. And she took my girlfriend out for a drive. We were kind of getting things for the house, and her first stop was a liquor store.
You gotta like that. Oh, that's the other thing. I gave up drinking beer for Lent, and everywhere I've gone so far, they only sell beer. I'm like, where's the closest liquor store?
It's a test, man.
Well, Eric, I won't keep you, man.
But no, it's all good, man. I'm sorry. I hope you can make time to come back and bring your friends, peers, family. And I'd love to show you a great time, and you know, just come back and experience what the place is rocking, because I think you'd love it.
Oh, I have no doubt. As I said, like, I'm a blues musician myself. So last night we saw Watermelon Slim over at the Bluesberry.
Oh yeah.
Right now everybody's down at the Bad Apple, and when I'm going to walk around the corner and go down there. And we talked to Gary Vincent. He was sitting on the bench this morning.
Oh yeah.
He's having dinner with Charlie Musselwhite, he said. So it's
real.
Yeah, it is. It's so real. It's so authentic, and it's fantastic.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing, and you know, check back in as we launch our symphonic blues experience. I'd love to share with you that story, because I think you'd find it pretty fascinating.
Well, I was born down in Clarksdale, lived there since my birth. Well, there's a magic in the music, must be something in the dirt. There's a drugstore on the corner where Robert Johnson used to play. Well, there's something in the dirt, make Mr. Johnson morning rain. Well, I played my first gig at a place called Reds, 11 years old, sneaking out of bed. Didn't know it then, but I understand it now. There's something in the dirt, and I'm trying to figure it out. I played my first gig at a place called Reds, 11 years old, sneaking out of bed. Didn't know it then, but I understand it now. There's something in the dirt, and I'm trying to figure it out. I got a cotton in my backyard. Sun is always shining bright. Well, there's something in the dirt that keeps it hot at night. Well, I'm right here next to the levee. Was right by my house. Well, there's something in the dirt that keeps the water out.
There we go. Kingfish Ingram, 11 years old, sneaking out the bed to go play at Reds. That was his song. That was off his album, Live in London.
Oh, nice.
And that was called Something in the Dirt. And there must be something in the dirt in Clarksdale because so many famous people, musicians,
Sports figures
have come out of Clarksdale. It's just an amazing place. Highly recommended. Again, go to visitclarksdale.com and you'll see
all of them. Yeah,
everything you need to do. It's about an hour west
80 minutes of Memphis.
Of Memphis Airport, so which is the closest airport to fly into. Our last interview was a spur of the moment thing. We kept bumping into this gentleman, and then we went down to his shop, Deke's Mississippi Saxophones. We're going to start it off with one of Deke's tunes from his latest release, If You're Ever in Clarksdale. So here's Deke of Deke's Harmonicas.
Clarksdale. Go see my buddy Red. If you're ever in Clarksdale, buddy Red. He got the best juke joint. Yeah, in the whole land.
I'm here with Deke of Deke's Harp and Harp and Saxophone. What is
Deke's Mississippi Saxophones and Blues Emporium.
Fantastic. So tell me about Deke's history with Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Well, I first got here in tow with James Cotton. We were off the road for a little brief week, and I went to visit him in his new place in Memphis, and he said, "Come on, Deke, let's go take a ride." So, anyway, I took a ride down to Clarksdale with him, and we get here, and he's gonna drop off 2 harmonicas that he signed for, the Blues Museum. And I looked around and I go, "Come on, really, Howlin' Wolf, John Lee Hooker, Rice Miller, everybody come over here?" And he's like, "Man, you don't even know." So I started coming back down here during the King Biscuit Blues Festival. And I think that was in '06. So I started busking in the streets. And then after the King Biscuit, everybody comes to Clarksdale at night. So I started seeing this town just light up only during the Biscuit, And so I started coming every year at the Biscuit. Man, I was clearing like $2,000 in the streets, playing solo with my guitar and my diddly bow and my foot drums.
And they say you can't make money playing music.
Oh, well. Well, if you're good enough, they'll throw money at you. So, I don't know. I was inquiring about moving to Clarksdale, and I get a text message from my landlord upstairs, and she says, "Deke, I got a little spot. You might want to open up a store." And that's how it started. And I named it Deke's Mississippi Saxophones because when I asked James Cotton, what does he call the harmonica? He says, "I call it the Mississippi saxophone." So right there and then, that was the name. And I've been here since 2013, making custom harmonicas for some of the greatest players in the world. I used to make them for James Cotton. I make them for Charlie Musselwhite. I've made harmonicas for Ozzy Osbourne. I've made harmonicas for country stars like Winona Judd. Movie stars. I made one for Shannon Doherty. I also made one for Dan Aykroyd. And I make harmonicas for blues stars, not so blues stars. And that's how I've been doing it, man. I'm making a living making harmonicas. And when I go on the road, it's usually like a stick and move. I don't want to be on the road just like all the other guys. I go on the road if they pay me enough, and then I'll come because I could make it right here. Today I cleared probably $1,000.
Fantastic. Now, is that you with Kingfish? down
That's
there
me
in
with
this picture?
Kingfish. Yes, it is.
Nice.
And also on the mural just across the street, they immortalized me and Kingfish on the wall right over there with my drummer Quicksand. You can see it above, past that tree over there.
Nice. Oh, Quicksand is your drummer?
Yes, sir.
We were hanging out with him at the, where were we? At the commissary? The
Oh yeah, Hobson's.
Hobson's,
Yeah.
the other night. You also mentioned James Cotton. I was lucky enough to interview him about 8 months before he died.
Man, such a great player, and I mean, he put me under his wing when I was 26, and he would say to me, he'd go, "Now, Deke, you listen," and he'd go, and I'd go, and he'd say, "Nah, listen," and I'd go. So one day, he wanted to switch cases with me, harmonica cases. And actually, his case is immortalized at his gravesite. There's a case right next to his grave, a harmonica case. When I met him, he was carrying his harmonicas in a Crown Royal bag, and they were all clanging around. And when I showed up at his gig at the Stanhope House in New Jersey, I had a briefcase full of them, all lined up in a row with the names, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the next day, he told his manager, "I want you to go get me a case. Go find me brand new harmonicas, and I want you to put them in the case just like Deke's." And that was it. So then he's got his case, but when he went through the airport, they broke the locks on it. So every time he saw me with that other case, I want you to, come on, Deke, let's trade cases. And I was like, come on, James. All right, I'll do it. So I left Chicago back to New Jersey in my Dodge Ram 50. So I put all my harmonicas in his case and he put his in mine. Remember I showed you earlier how he sounded? Oh, wrong way. And then I would go. Well, when I marinated my harmonicas for 15 hours in that case of his, I got home and the first thing I did was pull my harmonica out. And as soon as I pulled it out, I was able to go. And I don't know what happened there. I don't know if the spirit of James Cotton came through my harmonicas, but I've had that tone ever since.
Is there a harmonica crossroads in Clarksdale, Mississippi?
Nope, you have to put your harmonicas in James Cotton's case. Now, I do have a picture of that case. See, I was a drinking man back in the day, and when I was living in the back of my truck in Chicago behind Caprini Greens, I don't want to tell you what I was up to, but it was no good. But I'll tell you what, I went to this party and brought my harps with me up in this party. Well, I left the party and left my harps, and that case is long gone. I don't know where it went. It had some of the greatest harmonicas in there, James Cotton's signature, Pine Top Perkins' signature inside it. But, all is well, and it ends well, But I do have Cotton's tone. And if you're listening to this music right here, I'm on this CD with John Primer. I could probably bring it up to the next song.
Is that his new one that's on release?
This is his new release.
It's coming out, right? Yeah, very soon. Excellent.
And that's
You're
me.
on it. Charlie's on it.
That's me right there. Yep, me, Charlie Musselwhite, Bobby Rush, and Stephen Bell are playing harp on this record.
Excellent.
And that's me with John.
So,
And you'll probably get it to your radio station
I
soon.
hope so.
And I see you got mine now, so
yours now, so we'll be playing yours as well.
I'm digging it.
So what does the future hold for Deke and his Mississippi saxophone shop and going forward?
Well, I'm going to be a dad soon, so I got to work every day. And but I am going to be going to Germany. Hohner Harmonicas has recognized the sound that I'm going to be playing for y'all tonight as a unique combination of, blues. And I play a lot of one-chord blues. And so Steve Baker, who is a great harmonica player in Germany,
recognized this sound that I got, and they hired me to come to Germany, and I'll be there teaching this style of, I kind of say my style is like R.L. Burnside meets James Cotton. It's one chord blues, but it's like a hill country Chicago groove, and that's what I come up with.
Fantastic.
And me and Quicksand and my good friend Frenchy Guitar, he's in the studio right now at Gary's where this recording was made. Hopefully he makes it to the gig. Otherwise it's going to be me and Quicksand. But I play guitar, bass, harmonica, and sing all at once. I split my guitar signal to a bass rig and also to a guitar amp, so it's a full sound. And all I need is me and Quicksand, and
you're good to go.
We travel the world.
Fantastic. Well, Deke, thank you so much, man, for giving us your time here this afternoon. Great shop.
Well, I sure appreciate it, and I can't wait to hear my music on Rock On Radio.
Oh, you got it. Websites and everything before we let you go, how can people find you?
Deke at dekeharp.com. If you're coming to Clarksdale, I'm at 13 3rd Street.
Beautiful. And that's Deke, D-E-A-K.
K. Yes,
Perfect.
D-E-A-K, Deke at dekeharp.com.
All right, Deke. Rock on, my friend.
Man, I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
That was Deke. Interesting character, Deke was.
Definitely.
And Bubba and Roger said, quoted Bubba, he's right. There are so many characters in Clarksdale, Mississippi. History. It's a very sobering history
Definitely.
due to the segregation of the South. But I want to thank the Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation.
Yes. Yeah.
Specifically
Christine Zemla. Yay! Her and I designed. She taught me a lot.
You two
about
bonded.
it. We did. I love her. We had so much fun, like planning it. She wet my whistle throughout all of it, and her and I were going through all the different things. And then when I got there, it was neat to see through from what she had said about everything and what it really, how it all played out. And it was just every moment was fun. We hung out with her and Scott, which was great. And Tom was there. Tom Baldino is also the president of Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation, and I'd like to thank them for both sponsoring us to go and to do this.
Many thanks
Yes.
to the Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation.
Yeah, it was great. It was just
for
a great trip.
allowing us
To promote it, though, I mean, that's really why we were there, to explain to all of you to bring a friend and visit Clarksdale.
Yeah, visit Clarksdale.
Visit
you
it.
have to.
Yes.
What was your favorite part of the trip?
I don't know, everything. I think it was just going with Christine and Scott and you and the gang and just getting to know everybody. I think everybody had a great time. And I think just getting to know what Clarksdale's all about. I really just enjoy history.
I mean, there's a lot you could pick from.
Yeah,
There,
I like
producer
everything.
Claire. The free beers in the hotel lobby.
That wasn't free. We paid for
Or
that.
the honor system beers
honor
in the
system,
hotel
yes.
lobby.
The
I'm
coffee.
surprised. I know you like the coffee. I'm surprised your favorite thing wasn't when I set myself on fire.
No, you hurt yourself. And I wasn't even, I was there. I came out as the wind blew it.
For me, the favorite thing, one of my favorite thing, everything. I can't
Right.
put my finger on
me
one.
neither.
But to stand at the actual crossroads,
Yeah.
very sobering. Just you close your eyes, you can go back in time and just see
Yeah.
Robert Johnson. Now, whether or not he made the deal with the devil,
Hopefully not.
we don't know.
Right.
Like Bubba said, people have stories. I can't tell you they're true,
Right.
but they're their stories. And that's the legend that propels that whole region and an entire genre of music. But we got to wrap it up.
We do.
And we have to wrap it up till next week. I hope you enjoyed our interviews with the people from Clarksdale. Again, visit clarksdale.com. Go, people.
Yeah.
I already talked to Marzano.
Excellent.
He wants to know when he can sign up.
Yeah, awesome. I think everyone, we did a couple of people already. We've had some snippets be on our shows, and I think people, when they hear us talk about it, want to go.
Yep. So until next week,
Rock on!